Hello, welcome to Speakeasy Reacts. I'm your host, Harper_1, and today I have with me a co-host for this week's weekly roll-up in news and trending segment.
Hi, I'm Rating Death 909.
Yes, he's another member of the community at large, and one of the other people that will be curating probably some of the content coming forward through the TikTok reacts and all the other weird stuff. So here we have, we're going to start off with one of the more recent stories, the Heznollah bombings. Not Hezbollah bombing, but Hezbollah being bombed.
Yes. So recently, Hezbollah has been subjected to two attacks. One by a pager attack, and the second one just came out the next day of an attack on them using walkie-talkies. So there are rumors going on right now that this is a supply chain attack done by Israel, still unconfirmed at this time.
And more news to come, probably covered in, I assume, next week's roll-up if I get more information. And but so far, initial, I've not even seen anything, neither has he. Initial reaction here is, it's very movie-esque. It reminds me of a law-abiding citizen with the kind of think tank stuff that Gerard Butler's character was a part of. I mean, this is kind of just crazy stuff that you don't see happen pretty much mostly in real life. I mean, Russia does KGB attacks, but usually it's like they stab somebody
or they fall out a window.
Yes, or you touch a doorknob with whatever that is.
Novichok.
Yeah, Novichok. Yeah, some nasty stuff. But yeah, mass producing and sending tiny bombs to people is just crazy. Yeah. But we're going to go ahead and I'm going to gesture towards the screen over here, but it'll be up here or wherever it is. But we're going to go ahead and watch our video over here, and we're going to react to it live.
Now a second straight day of deadly explosions in Lebanon.
Yesterday, pagers were detonated, and today, walkie-talkies. Dick Brennan here now with the details. Dick.
Maurice and Christine, the new wave of attacks killed 14 people and injured another 150 people. Wow. That's in addition to yesterday's toll. Israel's defense minister appeared to reference the attacks today, and the U.S. worries what could be next in the region.
A blast on the streets of Lebanon today. This from an exploding walkie-talkie. It happened in the area of a funeral for 3 Hezbollah members and a child.
Super packed and grainy video.
The new wave of explosions from electronic devices once again stunned the nation.
Oh, that's the
pager attacks yesterday on Hezbollah
one.
Killed 12 people and injured thousands more.
Injured thousands.
Hezbollah blamed Israel, which has not acknowledged responsibility. But today, the Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said, "We're at the beginning of a new era in this war.
Dinner table
we need to adapt
defending those donuts."
The attacks came after Hezbollah helped its members to get rid of smartphones in order to avoid Israeli surveillance.
Yep.
So Hezbollah decided to move off those commercially available devices to something that they thought they had greater encrypted control over, and turns out they may have just walked into the lion's den.
CBS News cybersecurity analyst Chris Krebs says initial reports suggest the devices were tampered with before they were imported into Lebanon, booby-trapped with as little as 1 or 2 ounces of high explosives.
They were able to insert some sort of explosive into the pager without Hezbollah knowing, and then remotely detonate.
And that raises...
I'm surprised it's only 1 or 2 ounces. I mean, that's a very small amount for the amount of damage that those things have done.
High explosives like serious putty, it does not take much.
Yeah, clearly.
I don't know if that's what they use. I'm assuming it's going to be Semtex. It has to be probably, which is what the meme of silly putty is, or explodey putty, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it is very powerful stuff. Like, it does not take very much, which is why they check you at TSA for things like this, basically. I mean, this goes to show you this is the sort of stuff that can happen. It's interesting that, so part of the story is they believe everything was safe, after their leader told them to get rid of their cell phones because the new cell phones are a vector of attack. So they switched to something more archaic and older technology like beepers, pagers, also known as pagers, and then also walkie-talkies, because, well, walkie-talkies aren't very secure, however, but you could still anybody can use them, you can communicate with them. They're not,
they're
hackable.
Easy for groups.
That too. Well, they're also not like hackable and stuff. Like, yeah, you're transmitting over open airwaves, which somebody could grab, but it's not like they can track you as easily with it. They can and can't. It's a weird thing. They have to triangulate and they have to figure out where you are and all this other stuff. But if everybody's using them, then, that's the sort of thing. So, but they thought, that this was their means of communication, because that's one of the things people talk about, and I don't remember if they talked about it here or not, but in one of the other videos I saw just about Hezbollah in general, like, this is one of the biggest problems about Hezbollah is they're one of the most organized militant organizations with, like, the extremely large backbone of this infrastructure. So the fact that their infrastructure has now been attacked, I mean, at this point, you can't trust anything around you now. Since your beepers were attacked, and exploded on you, and now your walkie-talkies, basically anything you use to communicate, now, everybody's got to be looking at all the devices in their home. I mean, I'm willing to bet that some of these people are grabbing up everything and throwing them in a box and throwing them outside or throwing them somewhere.
Oh, yeah, all that tech, gone. Everything out the door, because clearly, whatever nation state that was able to intercept the supply chain was able to do it effectively and broadly without them knowing to such a large scale, considering, we're talking hundreds and thousands of pagers and walkie-talkies. This isn't any small thing.
Nope.
This is well planned, well executed, and carried out effectively to where nobody was the wiser.
And the other thing is like the amount of intel that had to be gathered to do this, because this isn't a small thing. Intercepting all these things isn't easy, but doing it to make sure that you don't, target the wrong people, accidentally hurt civilians, that sort of thing. I mean, there was interesting amounts of care taken into consideration too. So somebody had to have information about this, the purchase in the first place to conduct it's essentially a man-in-the-middle attack, but on the physical form.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting. I'm not even sure if it's worth playing the rest of the video, but we can go ahead and skip it. Yeah. All right, cool. And now we're going to get on to our next topic. Alrighty, and next up here we have the second attempt on Donald Trump's life within the last couple months. And you got anything?
No, not really. It was another failed attempt, of course.
Yep. This time Secret Service did their job apparently and, cased the joint, saw the would-be assassin and took care of him. But we're going to go ahead and roll this this clip here and go for it.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jessica Moore. A lot of news to get to tonight. We begin for the second time in just 2 months with the FBI investigating an apparent assassination attempt on former President Trump. Here's what we know right now. The Secret Service opened fire on a man officials say was armed with a rifle at Trump's golf club in West Palm Beach this afternoon. The former president was just a few hundred yards away golfing and was not hurt. A suspect is in custody tonight as investigators try to determine a motive. Let's get straight to Naveen Dhaliwal in the newsroom with new details emerging about the suspect. Naveen.
Multiple sources tell CBS News the suspect's name is Ryan Wesley Routh. He is 58 years old. They say he's had previous encounters with law enforcement. As far as a motive for him to have a rifle at Trump International Golf Course as the former president played, that is being investigated. Former President Donald Trump now the target of what appears to be another assassination attempt, this time in Florida.
Former President Donald Trump is safe and unharmed.
A Secret Service agent spotted the man who CBS News sources say is Ryan Wesley Routh, hiding in shrubbery, holding a high-powered rifle, while the former president played golf on a nearby hole about 300 to 500 yards away.
They have an agent that jumps one hole ahead of time to where the president
Good on that
was
agent
at.
for
And he was
keeping a
able to
keen eye.
spot this rifle barrel sticking out of the fence and immediately engage that individual.
Members of the Secret Service opened fire, and officials say Routh took off.
Yeah, it's interesting
but a
to think
witness saw the suspect get into a
the only
black
shots that got
Nissan
off were
and
the
took a
Secret Service
picture of the
shots. Like, I
vehicle
never
and the
actually got a shot
license
off
plate.
on him.
Using a license plate reader, the vehicle was
immediately
stopped
ditched his
on
weapon and then just
I-95 in
ran
Martin
for his
County,
getaway
north
vehicle.
of West Palm Beach.
Yeah, he
Sources
was-
say the
he was
driver was
pretty far
taken
away.
into custody
President, I
without
think, was like
incident. At the
400
golf
meters away or
course,
something like that, they said, or
officials
400
recovered
yards.
a
Like 300 to
weapon,
400
among
yards.
other things.
A AK-47 style
There you can
rifle
see a
with a
shot
scope,
of his setup right there.
2 backpacks which
The
were
gun,
hung on the
the-
fence that
We'll take a
had
pause here. 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Yeah, this is like you said, you see a gun here. News calling it AK
An AK style.
I do believe it is actually SKS. I didn't say that in the previous short, but I did say it was a AK style weapon. I could not tell from the videos or the pictures. This is also a terrible fucking blurry shot. I've seen newer ones floating around on the internet that like has it in like a witness tag or not a witness tag, the evidence tag and evidence room type stuff. And yeah, it's just a really like modernized, SKS. But yeah, I mean, he's got a GoPro here. I mean, he was going to film it. Dude's got, they were saying like backpacks or something with probably plates theoretically. They said they. So yeah, anyway.
So getting back to that, yes.
So he had a camera. He had they said
he had a backpack with ceramic plates.
It looks like plates. I believe they said it were actually ceramic tiles. I don't know. There's a lot of
words. They did say ceramic tiles,
which is weird because that's not how that won't help you with bullets. It'll help a little bit, but it's not the same thing as a ceramic like plate made to stop bullets. But yeah, he's.
Yeah, it's just some terracotta tiles off the roof.
Right, but you can see, dude was sitting here, set up between the two with the rifle poking like right between the two with a decent, reasonable looking scope on there. Like I said, hard to tell in this picture because it's super pixelated. It looks like ass, but he's got a scope on there, and so now there's people saying on the internet whether or not like this rifle could make a 300 to 400 yard shot. And the answer is of damn fucking course it could. It's hard for sure, but this goes back to the same thing with the Trump shooter. Like 150 yard shot's not hard at all. If you scope it, if your sight zeroed. Now aiming for the head was questionable, but it depends on where you aim. But if you're aiming for center mass, at that sort of distance, like the gun can do it. Can you do it as a shooter? Who knows? Can your sight do it? Also, who knows? It's really the only thing dependent. But obviously, this dude was set up to do this for something. I don't know, fame. I have no idea. He had a GoPro there to record it.
So a lot of the recent media surrounding this talks about how this gentleman had mental health issues. He was a 58-year-old out of Hawaii, whose some neighbors describe him as a very nice, neighborly gentleman. So it definitely clashes with, of course, what's happened here.
Weird.
There are some reports that he's having mental health issues, like I said. So, this could just be a crazy mental health break.
I mean, that's pretty far to go on between doing that and doing this.
Yeah, it's also interesting. So, for some of his voting records in the past, he's generally voted for Republican candidates. He broke from voting for Trump. I forget over which policy exactly. His social media went into some of the things he talked about. That he had issues with Trump's position. He instead decided to move to advocate for Vivek Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley.
All right, and here we're going and moving to the Federal Reserve has cut the interest rate by 0.5%. So this is some good new news. It should be pretty quick. Should take. Good old interest rates lowering might help out. I don't know. The economy's real bad and things are real bad for a lot of people. We'll see.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that dropping this by 0.5% will definitely do some improvements. I already see news coming out around this. I see financial markets moving in the positive on this news. So people are taking this as a good sign that the Fed's going to continue to lower rates in the coming years.
We'll see. Only time will tell.
So let's
go
see what
ahead
this
and
guy's
roll the video.
Terry, we now know that the Federal Reserve is cutting interest rates by 0.5 percentage point, a 50 basis point rate cut. That is bigger than it had been originally expected. On the bigger side of things, when you think about this move from the Fed, this is an historic move, the first rate cut in 4 years from the Federal Reserve, and now it is sending a very clear signal that it is taking this fight seriously, that it wants to preserve the jobs market. In its statement, it makes that clear that it is making a half-point rate cut to try to preserve the jobs market with inflation now closer to its target. So again, Terry, a lot of division going into this. The Fed went bigger. It went with that half-point rate cut.
Right, got it. Thank you, Elizabeth. They went bigger.
Dropping this interest rate keeps us closer to that. That's always a good thing for the American consumer.
Yeah, and inflation historically has been like, what, near 3%, I think, on average?
I mean,
except recently. Recently, it's been like jacked up,
like 7.
Yeah, stupidly high over the past
couple years.
2 or 3 years.
But generally, like I said, generally the Fed tries to keep it around 2%, and they've been pretty good at that goal. It's also interesting.
It'd be nice if wages went up.
Yeah, well, there's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
It is interesting to hear them talk about it, the lowering interest rates to maintain the job market, because the job market's actually pretty good. Unemployment is at 4.2%, We added, I think...
sure as fuck don't feel that way.
We added, I think, 250 or 200,000 jobs.
I wonder where they
quarter.
get the jobs number from. I wonder if it's job postings from Indeed and Glassdoor, which we know is lies.
It's actual companies reporting when they hire people, kind of thing. But there's also
is it taken from the tax? Because that's the only thing that matters.
So there's
companies can report that they're hiring people. That doesn't matter. What matters is what companies are paying as far as taxes on people, because that's real people.
So, in the state of Texas, for me as an S corp employer, I have to report to the state of Texas how many employees I have.
Yeah, I do
and
too.
if I hire new employees, I have to report that.
Yeah. Gusto handles all of that for me.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying they have the data, because that are state. We're reporting it up to the states are reporting it up to the federal.
Maybe.
But there's actually two unemployment numbers. So there's that unemployment, and I believe there's what they call the K7, which is people who are unemployed or underemployed. So that may be people who are working part-time jobs, 20 hours, so they're not full-time work, but they are in employment. So they count in this rate. There's also, part of unemployment is people who are still looking for jobs.
Weird.
So if you've just given up on looking for jobs, you're no longer in unemployment. You're counted on this separate number.
Even though that's still unemployed.
Yeah.
By definition of the word.
Actively looking, because again, there's three.
How do they tell if you're actively looking at it? Because it's not reported anywhere.
Man, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
They've got three numbers for unemployment. The main one is the one everybody hears, and then there's the other numbers. So
I was like, somebody lying somewhere, but it's the government. That's what they do.
So lots of it's up in the air.
We're pretty good. We've covered it. I mean, interest rate gone down, helps everybody. Hopefully, the consumer lending and everything will follow suit with rate decrease, maybe automotive loan decrease of people needing cars because everything's at 6 something, almost 7%, I think.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff's up pretty high. Yeah.
So hopefully we've gone down to 6.
That way, cars can be affordable again. Instead of make America great again, make cars affordable again, or something.
Well, that's a whole other can of worms.
A lot of different things going on. But yeah, and then we're on to the next one. Alrighty, and now we're here with the current up-to-date details of the P. Diddy case. Looks like just today he was denied bail after being arrested a couple days ago for the, indictments against him stemming back, what we said a few months ago to a year ago?
A year ago.
Yep. So, everyone, all the jokes aside, the P. Diddler, the Diddler, Diddy. I mean, man, so many different joke names about him. And again, as I was talking to my buddies earlier, the song by Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, I believe P. Diddy's been charged with numerous different crimes, including a lot of various different drug crimes, sexual assault lawsuits out against him. So the acts and things that he's been a part of and described are numerous and vicious.
Yep. So we're going to go ahead and roll the video here.
New details are emerging in the federal case against Sean Diddy Combs, the music mogul being held without bail after pleading not guilty to a host of charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering. We do have complete coverage. We're going to start with NBC's Chloe Malas. Hey, Chloe, good morning.
Hey there, good morning. Sean Combs is behind bars after a federal judge denied the music producer's request to post a $50 million bail. The judge siding with
$50 million is no joke.
Combs
Yeah.
is
Denied bail,
dangerous
though, man.
and poses an ongoing threat to the community. And authorities say additional
Right.
charges have not been ruled out. But we do have to warn you, some of the details here are disturbing.
Federal prosecutors say hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs used his power and business empire to carry out a long and shocking list of crimes for years, from sex trafficking and forced labor to kidnapping, bribery, and obstruction of justice.
Between at least 2008 and the present,
Well, obstruction of justice is
Combs
like
abused,
the
threatened,
least charge.
and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct.
Combs greeting fans in New York a day before his arrest, and 6 months after federal authorities raided his homes in LA and Miami. In a 14-page indictment, prosecutors say agents found multiple firearms during those raids, including 3 defaced AR-15 rifles. They also uncovered videos of elaborately produced sex performances with multiple victims that Combs allegedly referred to as freak-offs.
The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant.
While searching Combs'
Interesting.
residences
Apparently
in
they're
March,
saying that
according to
these
the indictment,
freak-offs
law
lasted
enforcement
so
seized
long
narcotics
that
and more than
these,
1,000
sex
bottles of
workers had
baby
to be
oil
given
and lubricant.
IVs just
Combs
to
has
keep
pleaded
them
not
going.
guilty to all of the charges.
Interesting.
Overnight, his attorney saying he doesn't believe
I mean,
Combs will take a plea
video
deal.
evidence of that.
I do
That's
not see
wild.
it happening.
Yeah.
He's innocent, and he is going to go to trial, and I believe he's going to win.
The criminal charges follow a string of civil
what you
lawsuits,
pay him for.
including a
Yeah.
settlement with Combs' longtime girlfriend, singer Cassie. She can be seen in this 2016 surveillance video, being thrown to the ground and physically attacked by Combs. Prosecutors say
Damn.
Cassie was
Goddamn,
attempting
dragged her
to
to the
escape
ground, just
from
kicked
one of
her.
Combs' freak-offs.
Right.
Combs later apologizing for his actions caught on video. His attorney
Oh,
arguing
apologizing,
Diddy's
'cause that
toxic
makes it all
relationship
better.
with Cassie was consensual.
This was a 10-year relationship. There's no coercion. There's no crime.
With 3 of Diddy's sons and other
Doesn't matter
family
how long
members
the
in court to
relationship is when you're
support him,
assaulting
the
your partner.
54-year-old appeared
There's kink
solemn as
relationships that are part of
prosecutors
that, which is
argued
what
against
he's trying
bail,
to say.
saying he has a history of witness
But,
tampering,
yeah.
threats, and physical violence.
Combs' attorneys say that they are appealing the decision to deny bail, while federal prosecutors say that the investigation is ongoing and they're leaving the door open for even more arrests. Savannah?
All right, Chloe, thank you. Let's turn to NBC senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett, who's with me here. So let's talk about the bail hearing. It was before a magistrate judge, but now we'll go before the federal district judge who will preside over the entire case. What do you expect today?
I think he's unlikely to get out, and that's because there is a presumption of keeping him there in detention. There are statutory reasons: dangerousness, obstruction of justice, risk of flight. They say, look, he has limitless funds.
Which
he can
are
hop on his
textbook
plane.
reasons
he can go
why you
anywhere in the
deny bail.
world. The
Especially
defense
if you
says,
can
look, he gave up
risk
his
of flight or
passport,
risk
he
of
came to
evasion.
New York willingly.
He's got
but
the
then
money
in
and
court
power.
there,
He could be out of
prosecutors
this
said,
country
even in his
within
hotel room when he
hours.
was arrested, they found drugs. Now, he hasn't been charged with that, but it just shows you, I think, that there are sort of a stew of issues going on here, and it's going to be hard for him, I think, to overcome that presumption today.
Well, prosecutors really laid it, not just in the indictment, but then submitted, and we saw it publicly, this bail memo that really lays out some of the
more details,
evidence, alleged evidence against Sean Puffy Combs. And so what did you glean from that? I mean, are we talking about multiple victims potentially? And it sure seemed like there are employees or people associated with Sean Combs who are ready to testify against
That
him.
detention memo says that they talked to over 50 witnesses and or victims.
Ooh,
Now, we
wow.
don't know how many people will testify at
50
trial. We don't know
witnesses, that's quite a
exactly
bit.
how many acts those coordinate with, but it does give you a sense of the scope. They obviously got their hands on not only the drugs and all the weapons, but they have other cooperators, at least as it appears to that indictment, because they're talking about the business enterprise, knowing a lot about how the business works. So we'll see what comes out of it today, but I think it's pretty clear that they have a mountain
between the
of
drugs,
evidence.
the
Obviously, he
weapons,
though maintains his innocence.
The videos. I mean, it sounds like they've got him dead to rights.
Hey,
Yeah, no, it sounds like that's not going to go for very well for him. I think I saw something about they're trying to make the call to make sure he doesn't go to a very intense prison where, well, sounds like P. Diddy's going to get diddled in prison probably. Very, very, very affectionately, I'm sure. There's all sorts of things, all sorts of people talking about things. That's one of their main concerns, that he's going to get, destroyed in jail. And, I mean, he's got a lot of counts against him. They're going to slap him with as much things as they can. They're going to let some of those go, probably. They're just going to get him with what sticks and what they can, get to stick to him.
Yeah.
Even though, like they said, they found drugs, but that's not even a part of the indictments yet.
Well,
or
they found
anything.
drugs multiple times at his home and at his hotel where he was arrested. So.
Right. And also in the videos, doing narcotics and stuff. So it's like.
So I mean, again, they're going to add on drug charges, and it's just going to compound everything.
Yep. I wonder what all he's going to get away with, what all he's going to get it all pled down to, how it's all going to work. I mean, we'll just have to see. This is one of those stories that, this is something that's been going on for quite a while, and it seems to come up a lot with a lot of different celebrities, and, punishment and justice is due. So I hope it goes through, and
well, here's the thing too.
hope he serves time.
He has priors, I believe, right?
I don't remember. I'm not familiar with him specifically.
I'm gonna assume he does.
I mean, most rappers have something. Like it's a part of clout. I think the only rapper that doesn't is 50 Cent specifically. He's a good noodle.
So if he has priors, generally a judge will look at that and probably apply harsher sentences because of that.
I don't know how much harsher you have to be than, like, 50 people already coming at you, and for all these charges, kidnapping, obstruction of justice, like I said, is a pretty light one. But I mean, like, especially with tampering with weapons, the ATF will come in, and like that's a, what is it? I think 40-year. Any ATF like federal charge is like a 40-year like maximum. And
Yeah, I could see him getting 15.
So that's why I'm like, with a lot of these charges, they all have different statutory ranges. I mean, with as many charges he has, he might get life.
So the number of charges doesn't necessarily matter, because oftentimes whenever a judge goes to sentencing, the crimes committed, the sentence happens concurrently. So, if he committed 30 different crimes and each of them carried 10 years, well, it's still just 10 years total, not 300.
Yeah,
Some
but
judges
also
can change that if they choose.
I was going to say,
but most don't.
But also, like, on top of that, if there was a number of crimes, by the number of crimes committed, they may take one of the the highest one and go higher with the highest one instead of like 10, for 30 murders or whatever.
It also depends on aggravating factors of the crimes themselves.
Right, and again, since he was obstructing justice, like there's intent there too, which probably would make his the judge look unfavorably towards him, towards proceedings and towards sentencing.
Yeah, quite possibly.
So that's always one of those things, but. That should be the last one we have, unless I've got more covered. Might be solo. We'll see. But thank you, everybody, and good night.